Hi guys, it's the dawn of a new day. All right, so first off, I'm wearing my Miss FD Transcendence shirt for good luck. And today, what we got to get going is kind of the sequence of the song and kind of figure out what the hell I'm going to do with the verses and the pre-chorus and stuff like that. But before we got too far into this, I wanted to talk a little bit about my psychological state. At first, I was going to just ignore this part because that's my general thing, is just to try to, you know, when you're feeling not great or something like that, just to shove that shit down. But I thought, you know, I'm doing this video for you guys, and maybe it's helpful if you're working on a piece of art or something like that and you reach a similar state to kind of know where I'm at. So for one thing, this self-doubt phase of the artistic process always creeps in. And I think what's happening is the song's reached a point where I've got something really cool. I've got this chorus, and now there's kind of like I got that thing that I'm always looking for, which is that feeling of like, ooh, yeah, this is good, you know? And then there's always this self-doubt thing that creeps in afterwards where you start going like, well, wait a second. Is the rest of it going to be good? I've got the deadline for this creeping up on me pretty quickly, and I'm just trying to get there. And yeah, it's stressful, and I'm doubting myself. I'm doubting if I can do this. I'm doubting, you know, is Miss FD gonna like it? That's always very important to me. And yeah, I just want to tell you guys that, because if you're ever making art, you'll probably have similar feelings to this. And you know, one of the biggest things is just to try to push through it. I think, you know, you just have to kind of, okay, I'm feeling this. It's okay. And know that that'll kind of color your vision a bit and so on and so forth. But regardless, this thing has to happen. And, you know, whatever happens, I have to make this work. So I just wanted to kind of share where I'm at with this so you guys know, and know that it's you know, it's just kind of a rough place. So anyways, what I think I need to do now is I've listened back to the chorus, and I did in between the last two sessions just tweak a little bit of EQ. I was listening to it, and I was like, whoa, you know, it's a little bit of this, a little of that, but pretty minor stuff. And what I realized is I got to figure out the sequence of this song at this point, because we've got some issues with how the song's laid out. So if I want to work from the front to the back here. So for one thing, we only have one of the chants now. So this is the verse, and I want it to be pretty minimal. Like, this isn't bad if this is all that's in there at this point. But here, there needs to be some sort of accompaniment to go along with this part. Otherwise, it's going to just feel really empty, you know? Like, something needs to change here. And now the chorus a lot changes. So it's easy. Okay, and then here, we got to have this bass line come in beforehand. So, certainly, no matter how the song gets sequenced out, it's got to have a little bit before, where we get the drums and everything before FD starts singing to come in. All right, so we might as well, I think one place I could get started is just by sequencing this drums. This drums, Jesus Christ. All right, so one way to do this is to take the full drum track here, and we're gonna let's mute the bass line and the vocals for just right now. Where are we at them? Where are they at? Around here. Okay. And so we're just hearing the drums. All right, so this is the whole MIDI track, you know, the whole kit and caboodle here. And so I actually really like this. I like the drums. We don't need any of these hats right now. Or, well, actually we might leave some of them for the whatever. So let me listen to this again. Let's loop this too so I can not worry about that. What is it? That's the ride. So I want that to come in first. So let's just mute all of these hi-hats. So we've got that ride, you know, it's kind of like a weird sound, but I love it. All right, I think I want to get rid of the clap too. Nope, that's the snare. I want the clap gone. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so when we get here, that's the pre-chorus. Now what I want to do is get rid of the snare for the first half here. So when she's singing, that comes in. Oh yeah, and get rid of the ride altogether too. So we have right, you know, kind of like we're picking up speed, picking up groove. And I'm gonna EQ this ride a little bit. There's some frequency here that needs to get pumped up. Somewhere in this. Yeah, I like that. We can turn it down just a little bit. Needed a little bit of bite in there. All right, so, and again, the verses would be playing here, so.
How far back can we see in time? We've risen from the ashes of stars, riding the waves and seasons of times to worlds without end.
So we're, you know, adding layers as we go. Now for this first part here, I love all these little glitchy things that are going on, but I think we can get rid of this. See how this sounds. And we could try it without this for the first, just to see what it's like. So I kind of like that, you know, just super minimal. You kind of get like these, I love those little percussion-y things because they're super subtle, but they add a lot to it. Oh, I can see that there's a little bit of, like, we could build each time. So maybe I'll cut half of these out. So let me see. So let's leave that one in. Or maybe not. Well, maybe. So why don't we mute? Just a real subtle thing. Take out the two kind of least important layers. So there's always something happening every bar. We're getting a few more, you know, there's a few more layers happening that kind of gives it some build. So what we're going to do is just move this over one. And we're going to delete everything out of here. Or we're at least going to turn off this stuff and this for sure. And we might use the toms here. What I'm thinking is maybe something like this. And I think I need to just move everything down one. Let's remove this region. All right, so on this one, we're gonna mute these drums here. So we just have the toms. And what we're gonna do on this kick is we'll add a new re-EQ. and we're going to make it a like a band pass. So, or I'm sorry, I'm looking for a band pass. Here we go. And we're going to find a frequency that we like. Somewhere around here. And we can make it really small too. So what we're doing is we're adding in, like I want to do this as sort of like a modulation type thing. And we can even make it like, you know, we can add a little bit of saturation or something to be able to get it to have even more of like a lo-fi sound, like some tape here. Just to give it whatever. And then what we'll do is we'll go into the bypasses of the whole plugin here. So we're going to just, so much shit in Saturn that you can modulate. But what we'll do is we'll just bypass these. And so the idea is, right now you can hear them. But then here, the kick will come in and it'll sound normal. And the idea too with a bandpass is we're not creating too much resonance with this. So like that's there, but it's not super crazy or anything. I might move this frequency up a little bit so it's a little. It's crazy how sensitive it is actually. Down a little. Right, and we might do something like fade up the Taikyo. So what we'll do is we'll add another re-cue. And we could also do a volume boost here, but whatever. So I just created a low pass filter by dragging the high shelf down, and then I can go into automation and just automate the frequency of the high shelf here. And what that does is it means that I can go from here and have this all the way up. And I can, a lot of times I like it to jump a little bit. So we'll have it go down and then just like this, we can pick a frequency where it's still audible. So I'm going to solo it just for a second just to find that frequency. So what I did was I accidentally automated this frequency instead of the other one. So I'm just going to boost, just step back here and now automate the high frequency of the second one, right? What is this? That's 5, but right now I've got this at 10. So this should do the trick if I bring this down. Yeah, that did it. So anyways, what we'll do is we'll add a second point here. And now I'm going to solo it. I'm going to find the top frequency and the low frequency. So there we go. We've got, now it's going to filter up there and then it'll be wide open so there's no trouble. We could even add some bandwidth to it if we wanted. And then just bypass it off when we're done. Really no need to. The resonance point's way above where anybody could, not even really any info up there. I do feel like these drums could use a little bit more reverb now just because do they have no reverb? Yeah, they should have a reverb. I don't know why I didn't put that. So let's put some of the shimmer reverb. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send the reverb to the drum reverb too. So I'm going to send to both the really big reverb and the tighter reverb. That way I can kind of get it. Because I think if I use just the big reverb to make it really huge, it's going to be just way out of proportion. So I'm just going to solo this again just so I can hear that. There we go. Because I do think it needed to be less dry sounding. It was always my intention. I think I just forgot maybe. All right, then what I want to do is take this bass line part here and do something kind of similar. All right, so we're going to unmute that. All right, but what I'm going to do is I'm not going to have. Well, maybe I'll leave those notes in. But what I'm thinking about doing here is having the bass line kind of do something similar. So let's add another re-EQ, and we're going to grab a bandpass and listen to it and try and find like a cool frequency. So that frequency sounds really cool. I'm almost saying, can I do another bandpass if I do this? No, I can't run them in parallel, so let's go back to how that was. I'm almost thinking, how do I do this? Do I have to notch out everything I don't want, maybe is what I want to do? So I think this frequency, whatever this is, 7,000 cycles sounds really good, and then I kind of want a mid-range one too. Or maybe I'll just have it sweep down. So 7,000 is really cool. So what we can do is we can modulate the frequency of the high shelf here. It's not that. That's not what I wanted to modulate. What is this? The bandpass 3. So I should have grabbed the high shelf. So it's the band 3 frequency here. Yep, 7,000 cycles. And let me see where I'm at. So we can have this start here, and we can set point value to exactly 7K. Not that it really matters, it's not that important. I'll delete the front of most of these and disable record arming because it's not useful. And then let's find a cool frequency for it to end at. So something around there, so let's say around 15. And then we'll just simply, we'll just program this whole EQ to just bypass itself right at this moment. And the great thing with, it's not the most recent version of Reaper, but in Reaper 5, we got sample accurate automation, which means you can do these really awesome sharp cuts, which I used to not be able to do in Cubase. So anyways, here's what we have so far. Now that that's up there, I want this kick lower. Because I can barely hear that. So I'm going to find a new frequency. Also, just turning the level up might help. One thing we can do too is we can turn the gain down on this. this do the same thing where there's a little bit of this. So that until the vocals are in, we don't hear the changing here. And of course, we're going to add some transitional elements and stuff. I'm just trying to get these parts right. Love these guys. Listen from the ashes of stars. Right. So we're really getting a good build here. So here, the hats come in. I'm going to do that backwards, actually. So what we're going to do is I'm going to select these guys, and I'm going to invert them. I'm muting them. So now the kind of off-time ones will come in first, and then we'll get an extra reinforced layer of the just straight off beats. So just to kind of keep it interesting. Because we got so much that comes in here all at once that we don't really need as much. And I do think these can come up a little. Right. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave the Taikyos muted for now. Or let's just get rid of them from in here. So I'm going to just get rid of these here. And same thing over here. We might use them. We might not. I don't know. I think I changed my mind again. I think I am going to swap these back. So we just get the eighth beats and then they both come in. So one thing I'm going to do is mirror that over here. So I'm going to get rid of this one section of MIDI here, so that when it comes back in the second time, but we'll have that extra layer in there to help build it up. Now we got to figure out how we want to get back into the chorus. So we've got a few sections. So one thing we could do is just actually literally copy and paste kind of what we have going on here and see how that sounds. But I have a feeling I'm going to need a little bit more than that, but that's okay. So here, I feel like it needs, yeah, we're gonna just have to borrow a little of this and then go back through and mute some things, so. So what I do think I'll do is I'll get rid of these guys because they're not coming in anyways, so we have just. And what we could also do is get rid of the snare actually. So we have just the clap. I think that's what's going on there, yeah. Yeah, because we don't have the clap, and now we can just have just the clap here. And we'll do some fun stuff to kind of help transition between stuff. I'm just trying to get the sequence okay. Oh, what we should do is we should get rid of the ride here. So, here we go. Let's get rid of this ride. And we will, so we'll just copy and paste this. And then we'll bring the ride back in for when we get to the pre-chorus chants. Just so it kind of mirrors what happened before. Oh, and what we can do too is we can bring the snare in here. right? So the snare will come in halfway through the verse, you know, again, mirroring kind of what we did the first time, even though there's more layers the second time, which is natural. You shouldn't drop all the way back out. I mean, you could, but I kind of want to, I always try to keep it moving or interesting. So it's got the same sort of feeling to it, you know. Ooh. Right. All right. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to see here what we have going on. All right. I don't know why this seems like a good idea to me, but I'm actually going to cut that and paste it right here. And then move these guys over one. So what I'm doing here is kind of bizarre, I guess, but what I want to do is just add, like, we already programmed that, and it's like, it's not a bad thing. I just don't think it needs to go in the intro. So we'll have this kick in into the chorus. So we have just a little bit of movement going on. It's probably no one will ever notice that except for you guys, because you saw me do it. But you know what the fuck? We're making music. It's kind of fun. So, anyways, let's grab the MIDI for the chorus again and drop it right here, because we know that's going to go there. And then, if I'm correct, we're going to a drop here. Just an extra piano part that I had from forever ago. Now what I want to do here is take all of the layers that are, whoopsie daisy, and like all of these cool things, and have it so that the drums and the bass drop out, but we get all of the goodness of the chorus. You get to really hear the music now. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do some filtering here. One thing I want to do too is just add a little compression here to this. To this piano part. So I noticed that I need a little bit more pre-compression on these. Nice gentle knee size. Let's get like something like 4 out of it. Okay, so that was way too much. Let's make it 10. Do a 9. Just trying to get some more sustain. Yeah, just kind of tighten that transit down. We don't need it to pop so hard. So for one thing, what we can immediately kind of figure out is that the strings here are really, I think, probably sound best built in. All right, so I just grabbed like a big bass hit from the Vengeance drums, and just gonna drop this in, see how it sounds. Yeah, man, those things are really bright and just awesome. I love how like mega they are. I'm going to take just a little bit of the high end out though. Like very little, but just a bit, just so it sits a little bit better. And then what we'll do is same idea. And then we'll turn the high shelf and we'll put the bypass into. So we don't really even need it until this very moment here. So we're going to leave it bypassed until this moment. We can unmute these. So what I want to do is have it so it cuts down here. So it's kind of subtle, but what I'll do is I'm going to solo it and find some good frequencies here. I actually think I want to filter it all the way down so it's just gone, you know, like there's just nothing to it. And so we'll do just kind of like a similar gig. We'll add another. Interesting that I now have 3 re-EQs on each one of these. And we'll find the high frequency and the bypass. And we could add resonance on these guys. We might do something like that just to make it really awesome. But either way, we're going to just follow the same sort of thing here where it's not bypassed until this. So it's going to be bypassed all the way up until this moment of the song where all of a sudden we get, it filters out. And we can do that too. I want to get rid of this too. So what is this? All right, and same idea. Bypass frequency of the high shelf. And we're just going to make it look exactly the same as we did before. And, oh, wait. Exactly as the same as we did before. And do something like this. And then we'll bring these layers back in. So, but I love the idea of these guys kind of just filtering down. We might do this one kind of low last though. Maybe something like this. And I don't want to get rid of the delay entirely, but I want to bring it down here because it's kind of like, so I'm going to kind of follow the same pattern, and let's just see if I could bring it down maybe 10, what this sounds like. Because I want to get it to where when it fades down, it's mostly just reverb. Oh, and here we can let these all ring out because they're just, now we're not doing electro, we're doing, we're doing almost like a real honest piano sound. Now I'm curious about maybe modulating this real quick right at the end there. This is a trick I did in a song I never finished. But what I want to do is actually just fade. Nope. Let's jump in here and have it do a quick fade like this. And then maybe even Control Z. And have this move over just 1/8, something like that. And set it just to 0. So it kind of fades back in. That was wrong. Like this. Yeah, just something, it's subtle, but there just to add a little bit of interest. We're really like just, here we go, just piano for a second, let it breathe. We'll have some sort of impact there to help like reinforce the idea. And now what we're doing is we're going back into the final chorus. So all of these layers can get copied and pasted over, and we'll start fading in some stuff. So the idea will be, you know, you'll really hopefully hear the whatever you want here. So I might bring the vocals back in early because it might be good to have them show up. Let's see how it sounds if I have them in. And I'm going to open that just so we have a moment. So let's see what it sounds like. We might also take this track and move it onto its own track so I can process it differently. I think that would be good. I love that it just breaks down to just the piano for a second. But I do feel like at this point we need to get some things coming in. I do think it needs to keep going. We don't need any MIDI tracks for right here other than the piano, right? And so we'll just mute these. I don't want them even like triggering. This is a tender moment. But we'll go to the choir here. And we eventually want to end up back at 24, right? So we want to take a while to build that in, and while that builds, one thing is that there probably isn't a lot of information above 5K on this sound, so I'm going to just find a frequency where I can begin to hear it filtering the top, and we'll have it go there and then just jump when we get to the kind of the build here. So you'll see what I'm saying. So that we get a really good kind of filter. And I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. I want to have the choir begin to come in. So all the way at 20 hertz, there's going to be nothing, but we can bring that up just a little bit. And we don't have to worry about triggering too much. So. So even by moving it up just to 50 hertz right there, we're able to get something kind of like where there's a beginning of a sound so that it can creep in. So let's hear what we have so far. We'll have the delay just naturally kind of build in here back to 10. I don't really care that it happens in any sort of major way. Just like that. So there's something interesting that happened there. I don't know if it's as obvious if you're not in my headphones and everything. But there was a point where the choir became apparent and a point where it was really subtle. And I want to find that frequency. And that's where I want to start from. So it was right here. So really starting around, let's say 400 instead. Let's start up there. So we hear it happen when the choir kicks in for the first time. Yeah, that's perfect. Right, it gives me that fucking feeling, which is helping me with my anxiety about this song. And I think then, I don't know if what I want to bring in next are the strings or the whatever. So the thing about the strings is that if I have them hit right here on this last time before we go into the chorus and it's just like big, that would be pretty cool. But they do feel like they're the most like organic element, whereas if I fade in the lead, it might be, I don't know. Well, I think we're gonna just have to try. What's pretty cool is that there's actually contrasting piano sounds, but they're not apparent probably to someone who's not a producer that they're not the same piano sound at all. Oh, that's so good. Just the choir. I think what we're going to do is something that looks a little bit more like that. So what's this frequency? This was 9K. So let's just make that 9K. And we'll make this 9K. And we'll bring in the lead maybe last. So maybe we'll fade in the lead, question mark. But what I want to do actually is like bang in the this layer instead. So what we'll do is we'll take this last one and we'll fade it back like this. And same thing here, we're going to cut this back. Nope, just this last one. So because I think with believing here, and we'll fade out, we'll really make that kind of a like an aggressive cut. So we had this EQ thing going on here and or reverb thing going on, and what I want to do is actually have that happen here, I think. Also, I have the vocal bus running to the reverb and stuff, but that's gonna get changed for sure, because I want to make sure that when we get to this part, like if I cut this real quick, we'll have some sort of impact hit there, and we'll have the whole thing pop in, you know. So it's like a I just love the way that kind of like lets you really hear that reverb. So right now this is -10 to the shimmer reverb. Now, what about my lead piano? This is negative 10. I was just gonna put a little bit more reverb on the low. So let's do that. Yeah, it's good. Right. So it's probably not obvious where I'm going with this, but let's get this lead figured out first. So. So somewhere around whatever frequency this is, so somewhere around 8K or 800 cycles is where this lead starts to pop back in. All right, so we'll call this 800. And then I'm going to solo it, find the frequency where it starts to chop it off, and then do the same trick. So there's a lot of high-end frequency information with that lead, so this should do it. All right, so let's listen again. I know I'm listening to the same section a lot, but I want to get this precious. So that's got to be like a boom right there. We're gonna get rid of everything except for this fucking clap. See how that sounds at least. Sounds good. So we'll have some drums building up here for sure. Oh, that's a little odd. It's not, there's a lot of oddness to how she sequenced this out in the first place. No offense, FD, when you listen to this. It's not, I don't mean it like it's bad. It's just, I'm surprised by that. And it's not how I would have set it up, but that's okay. I've always, I mean, every track that sounds more negative than I mean it to. Like every track I've ever done with FD has had a little of this. You know what we can do? What we can do. Is we can take this kick drum here and we can, okay, so actually let's just delete that. Let's add the kick drum back in, but what we're going to do is we'll take what we had here and we will add it back in. So we will have this back for the last time, you know, just to help build it in. pitch. There we go. Here we go, Alex Stallions. Might be smart to move these ahead a little. There might need to be some volume automation too, just to the overall like orchestral stuff, so that when it comes in, it really bangs hard, you know. Actually, you know what's even better than that? That's even like cheaper but awesome is just doing some trim volume automation here. So what we can do is we can just drop this, let's say. Let's listen and see how bad that cuts. I want to listen to the piano in particular. Yeah, it does cut a little hard. So what we'll do is we'll think that'll be fun. And that way, just when we get in, you know, and then it really bangs in a little bit bigger there. And what we can even do is we could do something like this where we, you know, bring it down to like -3. So it's actually -3. So it's actually slowly fading the master down. And so it's like a free way to get even more oomph out of what we're trying to do here. I love that. It's just so nice to get a really beautiful... Normally this sounds almost like what I would do for an outro, but I love that it's going to be in the middle so we have time to get back into the motherfucker. Yeah, I want to have everything stop at this point. Where's my shit? Might be easier just to mute these, like just automate a mute into this. So I'm going to go to the reverb and enable a mute and the delay, just like this. And we'll have it just mute for a second and then unmute immediately. Mute for a second and then unmute. And then I think I'm going to do that to every single synth track right here. And what I could do is I could program this, but I don't think it's like just to, you know, run everything through to a bus, but I think it's okay for me to just do it like this real quick. Plus, I might do some other hard cuts later, so it might not be bad that I have it all programmed. Let's see what is. So we just have that lead for a split second, you know what I mean? Like we never really get to hear that lead on its own, and it's not much of anything that happens here, but just to have something kind of, let it kind of just stand out on its own for a split second. So what I'm doing is I'm going to just enable the bypass here. And it's going to be bypassed the whole song except for this one part here. And that's just to give it like a little something, you know, to make it whatever. There. Oh, I can unmute these. All right. I'll edit out that breath and some of the, you know, gatiness there. so I got to go to work. And we're going to pick this up again tomorrow and see where we're at. So the deadline's approaching, man. It sucks. I hate deadlines, but they're good because they get things done. But I got to definitely get this thing the full way soon. So, all right. I'll see you soon.